and welcome to another episode of The Scene. Tonight we have a fucking great show for you tonight. We are going to headline things with some strapping young lads. Those fuckers are bad. So sit back, get ready for another musical experience here on The Scene.
¿Qué onda, San Antonio? ¿Cómo va? This is Gonzo coming at you from the production office in the Concrete Street Amphitheater in Corpus Christi. And I have a very, very interesting guest for you this evening. A gentleman named Devin Townsend. Perhaps you know him.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Devin.
If you don't know Devin, then you're missing out because he's done a lot of projects. For Strapping Young Lad is the thing that you're doing right now.
Yeah.
How is it? How do you do the timing? Because I mean, like you've got Strapping, you've got all your solo bands, and all this other crazy stuff as a producer. How does your schedule work?
It's kind of like a guerrilla recording tactic. You kind of got to get in there when you can and make the best use of the time possible. Like, I mean, technically, you can do a record in a month. Mm-hmm. So if you work really hard, you can do 12 records in a year, right? So the fact that we're doing 2 or 3 a year is actually, pretty spaced out, and we still get time to tour, home life and everything. I mean, metal's not a super lucrative genre, right? So you kind of got to have your fingers in a lot of pies if you're in a boat like Strapping, because we don't sell a lot of records, right? We just freak out and do our thing. And some people like it and some people don't, but in order to pay the bills, you gotta diversify.
Well, it kind of surprises me that you say that you're not selling that many records. I mean, like the new one, Alien's been out for a while, and you've been touring a lot for it.
Oh yeah. Oh, we sell fine, I think we sold like 20,000 copies of it or something, which is good. But, there's like 6 billion people in the world, so at the end of the day, we're making music for us and our buddies, right?
Yeah.
So, we just gotta keep doing what we're doing in order to make all, ends come together and meet. Like Byron plays in Fear Factory, Gene's now doing Opeth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I've got Devin Townsend band and productions and lots of stuff, right? So Strapping, is ultimately just a home base for a lot of people that are musically inclined. Right?
Something I've always been curious about is, you're like a font of, the music seems to pour out of you like it's nothing. How do you decide what song is going to end up with which band on which record?
Well, I write songs, or songs kind of get written based around a theme. So if a song fits in with a theme, then it's part of it, right? But it's like certain notes together remind me of certain things, right? And the things that those notes remind me of usually relate to some sort of theme. So a record like Alien, for example, is based around certain scales and certain things that illustrate a certain frame of mind, right? And the further you get into a theme, the more you can get really complicated and introspective on it, right? But Alien had that real specific black, alien, unusual, exotic kind of vibe to it, right? Whereas, say, the new Devin Townsend band record, which we start next month, is about nature and beauty and jungles and peace and all that sort of stuff, right? And so, it's called the Synkestra. So, and then Ocean Machine was about water and dreams and, so each record kind of has a theme, like an element even, like water or fire or whatever, rock or whatever. Right? Not that that's the point, but just like to make it simple. And then the songs just kind of fill in the blanks, and eventually you got records.
There is a lot of efforts in your recording. They're so layered. There's so much going on everywhere. Like even on some of your mellow work, like Accelerated Evolution, for example. It's very mellow for Devin Townsend, but there's still so much going on, and it's still crushingly heavy.
Yeah. Well, I don't do much in my life.
I'm just a musician. I'm a touring musician. I do records. I'm a record producer. I don't do shit.
Well, I do lots of music, but that's the reason why I'm good at it. Is because, or not good at it. That's a little presumptuous, but that's the reason why I find it easy to produce things. It's just because that's really all I do. I think musical things come into my head and roll around, and the only way to get rid of those musical things is to commit it to tape or digital or whatever, right? And once it's done, then you can move on. And it's like, once it's done, you can listen back to it and say, oh, okay, you were there last year. Oh, okay. And it's almost like by purging it, you can move on, right? Like, Alien is like taking a shit. Like, some records I do are like taking a shit. Like, it's just, I have to get it out. And then once it's out, I feel better and I can write other stuff, right? But it's like some years it's hellish music, some years it's beautiful music, some years it's techno music, like, you know. And again, I'm not saying any of it's the best, but you know, it's what I do. It's what, you know, Devin makes music, and so there's Devin's music.
You mentioned concepts and about like different songs, kind of like putting into going together under different concepts, and those being the albums. With that in mind, what's the idea behind Alien?
Alien was about pushing personal limits as far as it could go, and then pushing way farther than that to see what would happen. And then the last track on the record is supposedly the payoff, and that payoff is absolute devastation under the name of things that are too big for human beings to comprehend. So go back to bed.
And some of the other things that you've been involved in, that Arion album that you were part of last year, The Human Equation, how is it that you came to be a part of that record?
He sent me an email, and at first I actually didn't want to do it.
The reason being?
Well, I guess the Vi experience for me was just pretty crazy. Like, when I just came out of that not wanting to sing other people's lyrics, not wanting to do other people's melodies, like, I'm just like, I feel misrepresented when I'm baby, you know, not the Vi thing, but just anybody. It's like, dude, I got these lyrics you gotta sing, and I'm just like, that's stupid. And he had a big theme and everything, and I was like, I'm not interested. But then I heard Michael was going to be involved, and
Michael from Oath.
yeah, and that made me think about it a little differently. And then Arian sent me an email back saying, okay, well, you can do it at your studio, and you can write your own lyrics, and you can write your own melodies, and I'll just tell you where to sing. And I was like, okay, fair enough. So he sent the tapes up to me, and I totally procrastinated on it. I couldn't come up with anything. I was like, nothing was coming to mind that like I found really interesting, right? And he had pages and pages of notes of stories and all this sort of stuff. But truth be told, I didn't read it. I just.
Arian, are you watching this?
Sorry about that, bro.
Do you get the scene in Holland?
Yeah, sorry. I understood the concept, so I mean it was loosely based on it. But I just ended up filling it in and just saying, okay, well, let's just try and do something that. There's so many singers on here, you know, you might as well put your stamp on it. And my stamp is weird harmonies doing odd things. So I just did that everywhere, right? And it was cool. I mean, at the end, I remember listening to the record once from beginning to end, and I remember thinking it was really, really a cool product. So, you know, he's definitely a talented cat.
He definitely has an active imagination.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you played the part of Rage in that album. Were you just on that one song on Loser, or were you on more songs than that?
I was on 3 songs, I think.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Yeah, it's everybody's like, Rage, yeah, sure. I'm angry.
Well, I mean, you definitely have some pretty angry screeches.
Well, I mean, I got angry music too, but I mean, it's like, it's only to get it out of the system, because it's like I don't have a place to put that energy. I mean, I think I'm probably a pretty angry dude, but I don't want to barf that onto anybody. You know, I don't want to go get a coffee at the Dunkin' Donuts and go upside and down the other side of somebody for serving me the wrong type of coffee or something, right? Getting really aggro over petty, stupid bullshit.
Right.
So if I've got a place that I can, you know, I'm in control, then I can say anything I want, and I can sort of, not anything I want, but I can say a lot of what I want. And at the end of it, feel like I've, you know, got a bit of shit out of my system, so I can go to the coffee place and, oh yeah, thanks, yeah, no, it's cool, thanks. Yeah.
You mentioned the way you talked about the Steve Vai experience doesn't sound like it was something that you really look back on in fondness.
Oh no, I definitely do. Vi thing was like going to university, I think, like music school. You know, I was 19 and it just had huge players at the time for me, and still, and you know, I learned everything about, you know, like singing and production and my limits as a musician, and learning things under the gun, and band dynamics, and, you know, press and photos and touring and on and on and on, you know. And it's like, without that experience, that and a few others after that, you know, I wouldn't be doing what I am doing today, right? So, for better or for worse, right?
Somebody told me that when you were with Steve Vai that y'all went on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno in your underwear.
No, some crazy stuff happened there.
All right, let's hear about it.
I don't know if it's the best idea. There's photos on the website. I just got somebody at the Jay Leno's office phone up my ass. If you go to our website, you can see a photo of it.
What's the website?
DevinTownsend.com.
I'll spell it out for you later. In fact, we'll even put it at the bottom of the screen for you. And of course, right now, yep, there it is, right there. You see that shit? DevinTownsend.com. Now, of course, we're in Corpus Christi right now at the Concrete Street Amphitheater. To wrap things up, how has being part of the Sounds of the Underground tour with Opeth and Under the Clutch and God knows how many other bands, how has that affected? How's that affected the, like, say, the sales for Alien and your approach to music? Has it given you any ideas working with all these different bands?
Opeth are always inspiring. Clutch are always inspiring. You know, I hibernate when I'm on tour. Like, you know, I play my guitar in the bunk, and I don't know if it's going to change sales that much. We've been doing what we've been doing for 10 years, right? And I've been insulting audiences for 10 years. And this just gives us an opportunity to insult people that we've never had the opportunity to insult before. So whether or not that'll translate into record sales, is questionable. But, you know, we're having a good time.
I guess that's more important than anything.
Sometimes.
All right, we'll sign it off. This is Gonzo with the one and only, the mighty Devin Townsend. And we'll catch you fuckers in the scene. Hit it.
What's up? The scene rocks!
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt. We are still at the Sounds of the Underground tour, and with me, it brings me pleasure to introduce Andy from Every Time I Die. How are you doing, sir?
What up? I'm doing good, man. Doing real good.
How's the tour so far? I mean, how's it? Big tour.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's like, I think it's awesome that we're a part of the first ever Sounds of the Underground. I think that this is going to be the thing. I mean, I don't know how many years Ozzy has left, but I mean, I think, you know, Ozfest is pretty much, I think this is like one of the last years.
Really?
So I hope that this takes over. It'd be awesome to be part of, you know, something that takes off. Man, it'd be great.
And tell us about this tour. I mean, how did they come to y'all with the idea?
It was pretty awesome. Basically, what ended up happening was you can't do Ozfest 2 years in a row, so that was like out of the option.
Really? I didn't know that.
Couldn't do that.
Unless you're Ozzy, I guess.
Yeah, and then Warped Tour came at us with this like whack deal where they wanted us to do like 2 weeks, and then that was it. And then after that, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, all these other tours are going on, so you're supposed to just jump on. You can't just jump on another tour. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, basically what ended up happening was Tim Bohr, Larry Mazer, and Paul Conroy, the guys that did this tour, were like, okay, like, we have these bands, none of them are doing tours at this point in time, so basically what we need to do is just come up with a summer package and just take all of our bands and just, you know, 2 of them are managers, 1 guy's a booking agent,
right.
And none of the bands were on any of the tours. Like, they weren't on Ozfest, they weren't on Warped Tour, so they're like, let's just make a tour that our bands can do, and that's, you know, Sounds of the Underground. It was just, fortunately, we were one of the very first bands that they asked.
Really?
It was awesome.
Well, y'all, Every Time I Die has a new album that is about to drop.
Yeah, August 23rd.
August 23rd, Gutter Phenomenon.
Gutter Phenomenon, yeah.
How did y'all come about with that name?
Actually, there was Arlo Guthrie
Right.
had I think in one of his songs he like referred to rock and roll as a gutter phenomenon. So we thought that it was pretty awesome. We were just like, dude, that's all, like, you know, because basically, man, it all started in the gutter, so
right.
Might as well keep it there.
How do you feel y'all have changed or evolved, I guess you would say, since Hot Damn?
Just I think the songwriting just got a little more tighter. You know what I mean? Obviously, that was like 3 years ago, and you know, being together on tour almost those full 3 years, you know, you grow, and you grow obviously musically, and you grow as a band. So I think now, I mean, like, Jordan has an idea and it's boom, it's like instantly in my head, and I'm like, you know what I mean? And then I go off on it, or if like Rat has an idea, it's like, you know, you just go off and like, you just know what they're gonna do next. And I think it's just easier because we're around each other all the time, you know.
Do y'all live in that one house that's on this DVD?
The funny part is that was our manager's. That was our manager's house. And basically what ended up happening is we played Philadelphia that night, and we stayed at his house, and then early in the morning he like busts open and he's like, yo, I just called the film crew and they're gonna be here in like 20 minutes. It was like 8 in the morning.
Really?
So like my dudes obviously were wasted. I don't drink, but my dudes were just wasted and still wasted, you know, in the morning, and they're like, dude, take a shower and just go with it. Do something, we'll be in the backyard, just do it.
Sit by the pool, drink some more.
So we were like, I went outside and I just looked at the film dude and I was like, yo, cribs, let's do it. You know, and it was just like, boom, is all off the top of my head, and like, I just went with it. And those dudes were just, I didn't know what was going to happen when I walked out that door. I looked outside, and like, Rat was, you know, not even making hamburgers.
Really?
He's pretending to make hamburgers. You know, Jordan's doing that weightlifting bit over there, and then Keith is just a space cadet, like, over in the side, and it was just, you know, it just couldn't have been better, you know what I mean? Like, I was expecting them all to be in like a pile, like, waiting to get interviewed, but it was like, they just had, you know, they all set that up.
It was really, I mean, that was an entertaining little.
Yeah,
little
and that was the
snippet.
thing, man. Everyone always asks, like, when's the next one coming out? When, you know, and we're in the process right now. Like, the last like 7 years, we've been videotaping almost every tour.
Really?
So like, the DVD that we're gonna come out with, I think, at the end of the year is gonna be monstrous. I mean, it's gonna be like 3 hours long, interactive. Like, there's gonna be games to play on. I mean, it's gonna be like, seriously, like an event. It's gonna be something that like no, you know, band has done, you know, before.
Wow.
There's gonna be stuff on there that.
Will there be an accompanying DVD with Gutter Phenomenon, or are you
I'm
just
sure
gonna-
that I mean,
Oh.
soon the packaging will probably
Right.
come out where it'll be like, okay, get the DVD and the CD at the same time.
That seems to be like the way things are going now. I guess
It's-
I guess as a result of pirating or whatever.
Yeah,
or
it's a marketing ploy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like basically like, okay, they didn't buy our record when it first came out, so now we're just gonna throw this little bit of, you know, candy in there for
Mm-hmm.
them. Now buy it. You know what I mean? To get the record sales up, which is a good idea, but at the same time, it's like, you know, there's kids out there that are gonna have to buy it again. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Which kind of stinks.
Yeah, I was glad, I was lucky that I got a hold of this one because this one doesn't have
Yeah,
the DVD on it.
exactly. Man.
So I was like, okay, and then I saw it later. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
What can the fans of Every Time I Die expect on Gutter Phenomenon?
Just, I mean, it's
Every
so
time I
hard
die.
to explain. Exactly, man. I think it's definitely like, you can't categorize it anymore. We're actually our own little thing. You can't put us in a loop. And I think, I mean, this is an egotistical sounding, but I think we basically wrote a record that isn't a rip-off. You know, like sometimes you listen to a record and you're like, oh man, they're trying to just be part of this crowd.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where I think it's actually going to set apart, and we're actually going to be our own thing now. And I mean, this is the ego part, but I actually think that, you know, bands are going to rip this off. You know what I
Really?
mean? I think it's so much. I can't even categorize it.
Well, Hot Damn seemed to have come out of nowhere, to me at least. It seemed to
Yeah.
have come out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden everyone was like, Every Time I Die.
Yeah. And that was fortunate. I think with that, I think it was the imagery part, and I think just because we're such like nuts, I mean, like, we don't have the rock star attitude. We don't, you know, I mean, we're basically a party. You know what I mean? And that's what we want to endorse. We don't want to have like, I don't like smug faces. I don't like metal signs. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, just come, have a good time, leave our shows with a smile. You know what I mean? And take something from it.
Right.
Don't like leave like, you know, saying, oh, I'm gonna remember that dude from the last time. You know what I mean? That's bullshit. You know.
Where was it recorded?
It was recorded with Machine, the guy that did the Lamb of God record. He did Blast Tyrant by Clutch.
Right.
He did Pure Rock Fury by Clutch. He did like a VOD record. The guy's like, he's done a ton of shit.
How was it working with him?
Amazing. I mean, it was a situation we went in thinking that we were gonna get like the huge like studio, like, you know, like in the movies.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know,
the
like
wood panels.
exactly.
Yeah.
We walked in. It was a room. I'm not even kidding. A room maybe this big. There was like a loft in the one section to chill in, and then like that was it. And we walked in. There was no board. It was just a computer. We were like,
Really?
all right, man. Like, we all wanted. We were like, I remember that night when we got home. We were like, dude, is this for real? Like,
What
we
we
didn't
got
record.
into?
We just hung out with them. You know, like the first night, and we were like, dude, is this really happening? Like, it's one room. Like, you know, every other studio we've been to, there's like 7 rooms. You know what I mean? And like, just awesome. You know, it was just like funny, but it came out brutal. So it was like, you know, perfect. The guy knew right where our heads were.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was like, it's really hard. Sometimes you work with dudes and they don't even understand like what they're getting. They think you're just a metal band. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's like, you know, we have a lot more rock influence than we have a metal influence. You know what I mean? It's still there, obviously, but it's just weird. We clicked right off the bat. It was awesome.
And as a band, it seems like y'all do kind of like have like more of a sense of humor.
Exactly.
Do you find that a lot of the bands are like really serious about, or too serious, take themselves
Exactly, man.
into
And that's the thing. I think like in the 80s, it was like, you know, like metal bands where it was kind of like, you know, you see Dio and it was like, whoa, that's Dio. You know what I mean? And they were on a pedestal. You know what I mean? But like every single band that I play with, you know, like metal bands, they try to like have this persona where like they're like, oh, untouchables and stuff like that. Dude, you're from fucking Cleveland, Ohio. You're from Detroit, Michigan. You know what I mean? You went to school with everyone else. You were probably 241 in your high school graduating class. You're nothing special. You know what I mean? It's like, just go out and be a person, and that's what you want to do, man. If you want to be one with the crowd, you gotta be just an average Joe, man. You can't try to be like this rock idol nowadays, at least. You know what I mean? Because kids nowadays can see through that.
Right,
shit,
right.
You know?
How is the kid? I mean, the kids have gotta. They love you. I mean, I've seen shows and it's just packed.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like I said before. I mean, people want to be part of it. They want to be like, if they see us having a good time, they're gonna want to have a good time. So it's like, okay, have a good time. Come see Every Time I Die. You know what I mean? And we're not like the type of band. Keith will be drinking at the bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, shit faced, and then like we'll be walking through the crowd and stuff like that, and just hanging out. You know what I mean? Like that's what it should be, man. You shouldn't want to detract people. You know what I mean? You don't want them to be afraid of you.
They should be your bread and butter.
Exactly, man. Those are your peers. This is who you're playing to. You should appreciate it. You know. So
how are all the bands going on here? From what I've heard, it's just been unbelievable.
Amazing. That's the thing. Like on Ozfest last year, there was like attitude everywhere. You know,
egos everywhere.
Exactly, man. And it was like, all right, you can't hang out over here with these dudes, or these dudes won't shake your hand because you're on this stage. And it was just like, you know what, garbage. On this one, man, everyone is just like, everyone is cool. Like there's no attitude at all. Like dudes from Every Time I Die are hanging out with dudes from Devil Driver. Devil Driver dudes are hanging out with Opeth dudes. Opeth dudes are hanging out with Poison Well dudes. You know what I mean? Like you'll never see that.
Yeah, and there does seem to be quite a bit of variety in the types of music being played. I mean, Clutch obviously is a lot different than Opeth.
Exactly.
And Opeth is different than Lamb of God.
Yeah. And like, dude, it's so funny because at catering, man, you'll go in there and you'll see like the tables of people eating, and like I said, there'll be a guy from Poison Well, a guy from Unearth, a guy from Opeth, a guy from Devil Driver, a guy from Lamb of God, and a guy from Clutch. Just at one table eating, all talking about the same shit. That's awesome, man. I've been on tours where like, dude, I've been on tours where dudes didn't even want to talk.
Really?
They would just go on their bus and just, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't see them. And then the last day of tour, they would come up to you and be like, oh man, good tour. You're like, get out of here.
That doesn't seem really right.
Exactly, man. You're like, we're all doing the same thing, man. Like, embrace it, you know? Like, that's how it should be. It's music, man.
Video. We are working on a video for the new album.
Hey, dude, I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I just recently started working with Darren Doan. Like, me and Darren Doan are now starting to do videos together, where I'm starting to write his videos, and then he's starting to direct them. And the first video I'm writing is ours, obviously. And we just rented the scene, like the set from Spartacus, like the movie from the 50s. And I rented 2 tigers and 2 lions, and it's gonna be insane, man. It's gonna be in a coliseum and like.
Really?
Yeah, man. I can't wait.
Man.
Yeah, and we actually we rented 18 Marshall cabs. Like, I mean, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait, dude. I'm like so excited right now. And we do that in 4 days. Like,
really?
Yeah, in 4 or 5 days. Yeah.
So this is opening up a new door for you in a professional person.
Kinda, yeah. And it's awesome. I'm glad someone gave me the opportunity to walk with it, because like, I have all these treatments written out for different songs from different bands and stuff like that. And I never really took it seriously, and I never really let anyone read it. And then one day I gave him to Darren, and I was like, yo, see what you can do with these, And he was just like, oh my God. Like, called our manager, and he was like, yo, I want this dude to help me out.
Really?
You know what I mean? If I'm ever stuck, I'm going to call him, you know what I mean? So it's pretty awesome.
I think you should appreciate the other side of the way things.
Exactly, man. And like that's like, I just can't believe someone wants to take my ideas and like make them real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of them are just so out of there that it's just like, I can't imagine. And like I talked to other video directors, like, oh, I got this idea for this, blah blah. And they're like, that's like $32,000. I talked to Darren Doan. He's like, dude, we'll get that done. Yeah, it's easy. Blah blah. I'm like, yeah, I like this dude.
It seems to be like video budgets are unbelievably outrageous.
Yeah, man. The thing is, man, I think the reason why is I think a lot has to go into just the name. Like if you're working with a dude with a big name, most of it's going to go to him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where Darren has a pretty good name. I mean, he did like our roller skating video.
Right.
He did that live video for Logical Crocodiles and stuff like that. And like there were nothing. There were no brainers,
Right.
like $2,000. You know what I mean? Like
Live show. I mean.
boom, exactly. And then he did like a video for It Dies Today, where like the first opening scene is a car exploding. They flooded a city. Like I mean, like 28 days later, shit. You know what I mean? And it was like $8,000.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He just made it happen. You know what I mean? And that's awesome. That's the type of guy you want to work with because like he's willing to bend over backwards to make your images like happen.
So from your point of view, you think videos are an important facet?
Very, very important. I mean, the thing is, some kid in, Idaho, where like normal bands normally wouldn't go to. Like in Idaho, like, it's like, all right, you know what I mean? You think of that state, you're like, all right, you know what I mean? Some kid can go on Fuse or go on MTV and then like instantly find out who the band is by looking at them and saying, okay. And then when they come to town, you have that, you kind of have like one, you know who they are.
Familiarity.
Exactly, man. And you know what you're going to get. I think that's very important, man. Image-wise, you need to get a kids. You just have to. So, especially nowadays, man. Little girls, 17-year-old girls need to know that your singer's a cute dude. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't need to know that.
Yeah, I don't have that problem. I'm the fucking big dude in the band that nobody, you know what I mean? That's
They run away from.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a big teddy bear.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm waiting for my groupies too. So.
Yeah.
But as we wrap it up, we'd like to thank Andy for joining us and be on the lookout for Gutter Phenomenon when it does drop. And what's the drop date?
August 23rd.
August 23rd. So.
Yeah, can't wait, dude. I'm like a little too edgy about it.
Have you had that? Is all your releases, have you been edgy about it? Or do you,
Dude,
or do you
I'm the
feel
most critical human being on the planet. I'll like beat myself up, man. And right now I'm just like, why can't anyone hear it? Why can't anyone hear it? You know what I mean? So I want people to hear it. So.
And for more people want more information, where's the website?
Everytimeidie.com, or you can go to shittydudes.com.
Really?
It's either one. You can go to shittydudes.com, or you can go to Everytimeidie.
That is original.
Yeah.
Well, again, thanks to Andy from Every Time I Die for helping us out and spending a little time with us and getting us to know a day in the life
Yes.
in the Sound of the Underground.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, man.
That was awesome.
Thanks for coming out, and thank you for watching, and we will see you in the scene.
See you next time.
I pay for the fucking room.
What? What are you doing? Oh.